Leslie Marsh, let's start at the top. Leslie, just down here.
Before starting, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we're meeting, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay my respects to the traditional owners, past and present. Can I stand up?
If you feel like it.
My name is Leslie Marsh. I'm a director and an editor, and I make documentaries on new migrants, and I work with some Indigenous communities around here, including the Multi-Mix Mob, and make some parenting-style documentaries. I first heard about the boycott and was a bit surprised because I liked the multicultural aspect to Marrickville, which is why I campaigned my girlfriend to move here for so long, and she wouldn't, and eventually we broke up, and so I was able to, but that's beside the point. I contacted councillors and started emailing them, and the first thing I heard was there's a lot of misrepresentation about the BDS. I was like, okay, so what does this mean? So I started researching it. And the first thing I noticed that in the background to the BDS motion that was passed, it references the unified Palestinian call for the BDS in 2005. But then I started reading all these reports about BDS arguments going on campuses in Berkeley in 2002, and I realised that this movement started in 2001 at the Durban conference in South Africa. That conference turned into an Israel hate fest and was subsequently boycotted next year by 10 nations. It's ironic to note that boycott didn't work either. And I thought it's a real misrepresentation to not define the origins of this movement, which are far more dubious than the 2005 Palestinian Civil Society call. Now, the second misrepresentation is that this is a global movement. We have a lot of names dropped. Name dropping is the number one thing in the arsenal for BDS proponents. You'll get Nelson Mandela, Naomi Klein, Desmond Tutu, a whole host of civil societies, unions and book clubs. What they won't mention is that one of the most vocal proponents of the BDS is Gaddafi, you know, that dude who's in the news a lot lately. He's right up there on it. David Duke, I don't imagine will get a mention. He founded the American Association for the Advancement of White People after finishing his tenure as Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan. But then again, these are the...
I've got a procedural
stop.
point of order.
Sure.
Look, people are entitled to the views, whoever they may be. I would suggest that the speaker speaks to the item at hand, because everyone can bring up names.
Okay.
Everyone can bring up names.
This BDS campaign is largely aimed to compare Israel to apartheid. We're going to hear that over and over this evening, that it's an apartheid state. We've got already signs out there. To begin with, we'll probably have Omar Barghouti quoted, who's a big proponent of the apartheid analogy. You probably won't hear that he's a student at Tel Aviv University, and the students at Tel Aviv campaigned and made a petition to get him booted out of uni, to which Tel Aviv Uni said, no, you can't do that because we have free speech here. I've still got 30 seconds on this one.
Yeah, because of some interjection.
Now, the division in this room is the perfect example of what the BDS does. Everywhere it goes, it takes moderate people and it moves them to the extremes. You have people who might be willing to engage in some kind of debate, ending up so far to either side that we have the sort of crazy stuff that we've seen going on over the last few weeks. Stuff that everyone knows what it is, but it's ridiculous. So what's the point of all this? I thought, seeing as I thought we should look to see in here to see whether there were any goals for this, and surely once Israel caves to our demands, we can lift the boycott. So what would it take to lift the boycott? Well, I couldn't find any goals. The only ones I could find are on bdsmovement.net, the first of which is ending Israel's occupation and colonisation of all Arab lands and dismantling the wall. So I asked the council, what are the Arab lands? Are they the 1967 borders? Are they the 47 UN petition borders? Are they the borders that were when it was the mandate, the British mandate for Palestine? Or are they the borders for the Ottoman Empire? Because what's in there now is so vague that it can be used by anyone in any manner they wish. So you can take that resolution, Israel could move right back to its 67 borders, and that would still stand. The BDS proponents could continue campaigning. There's nothing in there. It's so vague that it becomes an umbrella for a whole range of extreme viewpoints. So just finally, what's missing? Well, the Palestinians are missing in all of this. If this was about the Palestinians, you'd be calling on Jordan. You'd be calling for a boycott to Jordan for their very open discrimination of their majority Palestinian population. You'd be calling for a boycott on Egypt for their support for the blockade of Gaza. Make no mistake, the BDS has an agenda of vilification, not peace. Personally, I'd love to see the council support something that promoted a sustainable and prosperous Palestinian state alongside Israel. The BDS is shutting down negotiation, galvanising Israel's position and pushing the Palestinians further and further from the deserved goal of statehood. Thanks.
Thank you. Leslie?